Welcome to our essential guide to choosing the right bank to maximize your savings. First, we will set the stage with why interest rates are the single most important factor when starting your savings journey. Then, we will compare online-only banks with traditional branches so you can choose what truly fits your life. After that, we will outline a step-by-step saving strategy that actually works, including specific do's and don'ts. By the end, you will be able to pick a high-yield savings account with confidence and know how to structure your cash for emergencies and growth. Here is our roadmap. First, we will cover why a high-yield savings account is crucial and how it combats inflation. Next, we will dive into the online versus traditional bank debate to help you decide. Then, we will walk through a practical saving strategy with clear steps. After that, we will visualize your choices with a decision flowchart and allocation diagrams. We will also include quick quizzes to reinforce your understanding. Finally, we will summarize key takeaways and guide you to your next steps. To begin, understand that interest rate is the engine behind your savings growth. High-yield savings accounts typically pay significantly more interest than standard accounts, which means your money grows faster and has a better chance of keeping up with inflation. If your current bank offers a low rate, the most impactful move you can make is to switch to a competitive HYSA. This single decision can accelerate your progress toward your financial goals. Next, let's quantify the difference. Imagine placing $10,000 in a standard savings account at roughly 0.01% APY, compared to a high-yield savings account at around 4.5% APY. After 1 year, the standard account would add about $1, whereas the HYSA would add roughly $450. This stark contrast highlights why prioritizing interest is essential. If your cash earns near zero, inflation will chip away at its value over time. Therefore, do not settle for a low-yield account when a competitive HYSA is available. Moving on, here is a simple comparison. A standard savings account at around 0.01% APY yields almost no growth after 1 year and minimal growth after 5 years. By contrast, a high-yield savings account at around 4.5% APY produces meaningful gains after 1 year and impressive compounding after 5 years. Actual rates vary, but the order of magnitude difference remains consistent. HYSAs can dramatically improve outcomes. Now let's compare your banking format options. Online-only banks often provide the highest yields because they do not carry the costs of physical branches. They can be excellent for people comfortable managing money entirely online, especially if they prefer modern mobile experiences and quick transfers. On the other hand, traditional banks and credit unions offer face-to-face customer service, in-person support, and cash deposit capability. They may provide a community atmosphere or certain perks, but typically pay lower interest than top online options. Your priorities, yield versus in-person convenience, should guide the choice. To visualize the choice, here is a decision flow. We start by asking if you prioritize the highest yield. If yes, the flow directs you to an online-only high-yield savings account, with a reminder to compare APYs, fees, and transfer speeds. If no, we ask whether you need cash deposits or in-person help. If that answer is yes, the flow suggests a local credit union or a traditional bank with a strong mobile app and an evaluation of branch access, ATM fees, and app quality. If you do not need in-person services, the flow again points to online-only HYSAs. Finally, the flow concludes with opening the account and automating transfers. Quick check. Which banking option most consistently offers the highest savings yields? Option A, traditional branch banks. Option B, online-only banks. Option C, keeping cash at home. Option D, prepaid debit cards. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B, online-only banks. Because they do not maintain physical branches, their cost structure often allows them to pass more value back to customers through higher savings yields. Next, let's turn to your step-by-step strategy. First, establish an emergency fund inside your high-yield savings account with a target of 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Second, separate your accounts clearly. Use checking to manage monthly income and bills, and keep your HYSA strictly for emergencies and planned savings goals. Third, automate transfers on payday so savings happen first without relying on willpower. Fourth, pay attention to savings withdrawal limits, and use your checking account for routine spending to avoid fees or restrictions. Fifth, Review your rate every quarter, and be willing to switch if your APY becomes uncompetitive. Finally, once your emergency fund is fully stocked, shift your new surplus to investments to build long-term wealth. Here is a sample allocation to visualize how your cash might be distributed. Checking holds around 1 to 2 months of expenses for bills and daily use. The high-yield savings account carries the emergency fund, typically 3 to 6 months of expenses, which forms the largest slice. A smaller slice can be reserved in the HYSA for short-term goals, such as travel or upcoming purchases. Finally, investments receive contributions only after the emergency fund is complete. The percentages shown are illustrative and should be adjusted to your personal situation. Additionally, let's reinforce best practices. Do build an emergency fund in your HYSA, targeting 3 to 6 months of expenses. Do separate checking and savings functions, maintaining only 1 to 2 months of expenses in checking. Do confirm any transfer or withdrawal limits on your savings account to avoid unnecessary fees. On the other hand, do not settle for low yields. Evaluate rates and switch if your APY becomes uncompetitive. Do not mix funds by using a savings debit card for daily purchases. Do not stop at saving. Once your emergency fund is complete, direct surplus cash into investments for long-term growth. Here is your second quick check. After fully funding your emergency fund, what is the next smart move? Option A, keep all new cash in the high-yield savings account indefinitely. Option B, move excess to investments for long-term growth. Option C, spend from the savings debit card for convenience. Option D, close your high-yield savings account. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. After your emergency fund is fully stocked, channel new contributions toward investments to pursue long-term growth. Savings accounts provide safety and liquidity, while investments provide the potential for higher returns over extended periods. Finally, in our visuals, here is a 12-month savings journey. At month 0, open your high-yield savings account and link your checking account. In month 1, automate transfers for each payday. By months 2 to 3, aim to reach 1 month of expenses saved. By months 4 to 6, work toward 3 months of expenses. Between months 7 and 9, review your APY and switch banks if necessary to remain competitive. By months 10 to 12, reach 6 months of expenses saved and start directing any excess cash to investments. Let's recap the essentials. First, prioritize interest rates to protect purchasing power and prefer high-yield savings for meaningful growth. Second, select online banks if yield is your top priority, or choose traditional or credit unions if you need in-person services. Third, keep checking for monthly cash flow and high-yield savings for emergencies and goals. Fourth, automate your savings contributions and observe any transfer limitations. Fifth, once your emergency fund is complete, focus on investing your new surplus for long-term wealth. Before we close, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Interest rates, account features, and policies change frequently. Please verify current details directly with institutions and consider consulting a licensed professional for advice tailored to your situation. To wrap up, here are your next steps. Open or switch to a competitive, high-yield savings account. Automate transfers from your checking account on payday. Build 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies. Review your rate every quarter and switch if you find a better offer. Once your emergency fund is full, send additional contributions to investments to grow your wealth over time. As we transition to the final note, remember that consistent action compounds. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like the video, share it with someone who could benefit, and subscribe for more practical guides. Tell us in the comments which bank you chose and what APY you are getting. Your experiences can help others make better decisions too.